There we go. The laptop. We're making it happen. Now, what I want to tell you is this. This is our bake sale session, Waylan. Welcome. How are you doing? Oh my goodness. This is comedian extraordinaire Meghan O'Malley making it happen all day, every day. She's got the headphones on. She is doing it up. She is making it happen. And I am loving this right now. This is episode 24. This is
Episode four.
episode 24, guys. And I'm thinking about, I don't know what to call it yet, but it's going to be something wintry. It's going to be something fun, whimsical, hearty, and warming. Okay. We didn't figure out the name yet, but that's okay. All right. So, first things first, everybody can hear me. Everything's good.
hmm Yeah.
Excellent. My first thing, the reason why I want to have this sesh, the reason why I'm calling this to order is because of yesterday, because of our favorite corporation, Verizon, decided somehow to have an outage. And I know people are really going down some rabbit holes right now about this outage, but that wasn't my concern. My first concern, even though I'm on auto pay, I was like, did I pay that goddamn bill? I know I paid that motherfucking bill. I know I did. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. This is an outage. This is a real thing. So you know what else I thought of, Waylan?
What's
You
that?
know, Megan? I said, wait a minute. If this is a big time outage and there's a lot of all these issues and problems, nobody can figure it out. I know I'm not paying this bill next month. Oh, I know I'm not paying this bill next month. I know there's going to be restitution. Restitution. No,
No,
I
do
found
you,
out
do you
today.
still think that you're not paying that bill?
Oh no, I know I'm going to pay that bill. Do you
Okay,
know
I was just
why?
about to say, I don't know if you've heard. We're getting $20 off.
$20.
Yeah.
Wayland, that is the credit that we are getting. $20. Do you know what I felt like when I read that, Megan? You remember the movie A Christmas Story? You remember when Ralphie finally figures out the decoder button and all it says is drink your Ovaltine? That's what I was feeling,
What a
my
damn
friend.
sham. I was mad for him. I was like, you kidding? That's what he waited so long for it to come in the mail? Drink your Ovaltine.
Exactly.
Get
That's
out of
what I'm
here.
talking about, my friends. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe it. Megan,
You
the
know,
corporations.
I hate to say that it's generous of them to give you a $20 refund, but I think it might be because really it was only one day. Here's the thing. This is probably good that I'm not in charge over there because I would have been like, okay, you guys will get refund for one day, which I guess the average is $80 a month. Does that sound about right? I'm on a family plan and I just don't understand it because I can never see the bill because it's under my mom's name, but I pay it. And so I'm just like blindly giving money over. And I'm like, Mom, you should be on top of looking at it because they won't let me look at it because it's like it's harder to I think to get into your Verizon bill than to get into Fort Knox.
You
But
got that right.
but if we divided $80 by 30 days, we'll just go with 30, not 31, that would be 2.6. So really, they only had to give us $3 back, but we got
What?
20. So I guess it's kind of nice because it's a quarter of the bill they're giving back.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And it was only one day. I know I'm horrible right now because it did really suck. I could text. I don't think I was really affected.
You
I
see,
mean, I have AT&T, so I didn't really get affected by anything. So
You're like, yesterday was great for me.
I went about my normal business like usual. So, so it's like when I got a text from you yesterday, like, hey, like, Verizon's still down, and I was at work yesterday, and everyone's just like, "Is your phone working? Your phone working?" And there's only two people in the store who had Verizon, and all of us were like, "No, we all have AT&T." Like, I don't know what to tell you.
oh my God. Now you see, this is why the bake sale session is so fun and so awesome because I came in hot. I came in ready. But now I didn't even light up this dart. okay, filled with Maui McNutt from where Nanticoke Farms, okay?
Ooh, we love
Very
that.
smooth, very flush, very smooth, very lush, very robust, and a nice heady body high, okay?
Which Nanocoke are you smoking on?
Maui McNutt.
Great, great one. I only live about 35 minutes away from their facility, so
I mean,
yeah.
dude, look in there, look in my dart, look at how fluffy, how green, how luscious that is.
It makes me
Those
want to
And
guys,
take a nap.
those guys are producing some really great flower right now. Personally, to me, I think they're one of the best cultivators in the state right now. Them, Rolling Green, a couple shout outs with them. Lead Farmer, especially, a micro business, out of Bainbridge, lay the true roots out in the southern tier where I'm from. So, all great cultivators out this way, especially the guys over at Nanacoke doing some really wild things over there right now.
dude, I dig it. And let me tell you something. I came in hot. I was ready to like run down my gripes. And you see what happens here? Megan smooths it all out, my friend. This is the yin and the yang. This is what it's all about. Two different sides, same coin, making it happen. Okay. But now I got one other one for you. Okay. And I got permission from my lady love to tell this story. Okay.
Excellent. That's
So my
good.
lady love is purchasing personal products, okay? Personal products. And she got this one particular brand. I remember this brand from when I was a little kid. It's named Always. Always with wings. So she got really pissed off. She's like, "God damn it, all of these have wings. I wanted something without wings." And I wasn't a good husband. I mansplained myself into oblivion.
Oh
I said
no.
to her, I said, "Girl, don't you know always has wings?"
Oh,
I never knew a box of feminine hygiene products could travel so fast in the air.
Mhm.
yeah.
That shit said bonk. I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, it might be soft inside, but it's gonna come at you hard.
And did it ever. So now she's making fun of me all day, every day about wings. So here we go.
Yeah.
But again, this is the bake sale session. This is episode 24. Right now, it's unnamed. When it comes to me, it will be named and it will be something really awesome. Trust me on that. Megan, I love what you're doing right there with all the plant life, looking good. Waylan, you're looking good. How was work today?
I actually had today off, so I slept in and hung out for a little bit. Yeah, Thursdays and Sundays are my days off, so it works out perfectly.
I love that for you. Have you been chiefing on anything at all?
Today I smoked a joint of the Candy Jack from Flores Farms,
Ooh, that
another local
sounds
brand too. So, those their pre-roll with live resin infused, and right now I'm up at my grandparents, so I went down and walked to the creek and sat out for just a little while, listened to the wind, and and got to enjoy myself for a little bit of the day.
Wait, did you say you listen to the wind?
Well, they live in the middle of nowhere, so it's about 186 acres of no neighbors, no nothing. So it's my quiet place is the way I like to call it.
Listen to the
Ooh.
wind
Yeah,
blow.
exactly.
Oh, I like that. Oh, yes. Give me a little Fleetwood Mac. This is what I'm talking about. So, you know what? We're gonna go a little bit backwards now because you just started something. You started talking about your quiet place. So now, what is it about a session that works well for you or works best for you? You mentioned listening to the wind and the nature and all the acreage and just feeling.
I I grew up in I live in a little town called Athens, PA. So I live right on the border of New York and Pennsylvania. Like New York is like a 2 minute drive, and I live about 35 minutes away from Binghamton. So I just commute to Binghamton every day. Um,
Ooh.
but like for me, the perfect session is being able to take my flour, grind it down. I'm really a big infused joint type of guy, so I like to do keef and hash and flower or live resin and diamond or rosin. I've been doing my own rosin pressing for the last 10 years. So for me, it's really more of a spiritual thing. I usually like to come up to my grandparents' house, visit and spend time with them. They're both in their 80s right now. They know what I do, so they're very supportive of everything that I've, been a part of for the last 7 years in the legal side of things. So for me, what really matters is being able to take some time away from society, away from technology, set my phone down, turn it off, no matter what it is, and then like to be able to relax. And for me, cannabis is a really big part of my life. So, I mean, especially being an advocating, working in the industry, talking to other industry professionals and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, at the end of the day, a session is just the quiet place. It's outside in nature with a joint or my bowl and grinder, or no matter what it is, just being able to, spend time away from everything.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you have people around ever in a session? What are the rules for them?
So there really is no rules. That's the best part. Yesterday we went out to dinner. So me, my GM, his wife, it was a sales rep who we're all really close with. So we all kind of just rolled a joint and then just passed around a joint for, I don't know, a good hour and a half, had dinner, had a few drinks and stuff like that. So for me, it's just, it's about bonding. I feel like that's what cannabis really brings out in people is the idea of like we all share a an enjoyment and love with the plant, but we also get to like interconnect on different, pathways, different conversations, different subjects and stuff like that. So I feel like a really big part of sitting down with people and having a session is to really learn what other humans are like. There's a whole psychology behind it, I guess, in a way. So
Dude, I really like that. I dig that. That's what's up. Wow. Okay. So now let me ask you this in regards to a session. So basically, you're looking for serenity, you're looking for calm, you're looking for peace and quiet.
yeah.
Would the opposite of that um make a session not as fun if it's loud, if it's like a big party atmosphere, if everyone is really huddled up close together? No,
For me,
that's
I don't really mind the whole idea behind like a party session and stuff like that. But for the most part, I find myself like in those moments being like, this is too much. And then I usually like kind of separate myself away from the group, go outside, take a breather, hit, if I have a joint or a pen or my bowl, go hit it a few times, come back and let kind of all the social anxiety kind of wither itself away from everything. So that's really the beauty of it. I mean, I don't mind big social settings. We had a big Christmas party with our company this year. So there was 186 people around me. So,
oh
that
wow.
was a lot of people, but I still had a really fun time. I was in my element and, you know, sometimes, I feel that it may be too much, but sometimes it's not too much.
Gotcha.
But if the crowd gets rowdy, I'm out. So I'm
Okay.
about that.
Now, Megan, is that similar to your vibe? If it gets a little too much, you're out of there?
Yeah, I would say if it's getting rowdy, that's the route that everybody's taking. But yeah, I'd like to keep it chill a little bit more.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Very cool. Now, Waylan, let me ask you this. So you mentioned that your grandparents, they know what you're into, they know what you're all about, and they fully support you and stuff like that. What was it like, at the very beginning of your journey, like with the plant and whatnot?
So I started out using the plant at a really young age. I started smoking when I was about 11, 12 years old, which is not something I really recommend for anybody, especially, people who are, developing minds and states and stuff like that. I was a very socially anxious kid. I grew up in a very broken home. Both my parents were divorced. My brother was in and out of prison throughout most of my teen years and up until now. Um, and I had a really hard time focusing during high school during that time. So for me, using the plant in the beginning was to kind of like socially, like kind of integrate myself, but also find a calming spot in my life where there's a lot of chaos, connect with people. I was more of a not socially like a social type of kid or like teenager. And then when I started using the plant, it started bringing me out of my own kind of out of my own shell in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
you got a little extroverted.
Yeah, and as I got older, it just became easier. And I started connecting with a lot of people. For a really long time, I was part of the legacy market. So, I did that from the time I was about 13, 14 years old up until about 24, 23 years old. So when I started my legal career, when I had my first daughter too. So I stepped away from the legacy market and I started my own hemp business for a little while and that wasn't successful. And then, with the rollout of the New York market, I joined my first dispensary, Sacred Bloom in Vestal. A bunch of great people there. Just a very great business model that they have in general. But yeah, that's where my journey started with the plant first was at a very young age, but it really brought me out to the person who I am today.
I love that. That is awesome. It really made like a really positive contribution for your mental well-being, and I love that for you.
Yeah, and most people think that stoners are just, we're a bunch of hippies and stuff like that. I went to school for mechanical engineering, so we're not all, these, not to, be prejudiced or anything like that. We're not all, dreadlock,
No.
hippies or, driving vans or whatever. We're all types of people. Some of my favorite people who used to come in when I worked at Sacred, I had a gentleman who was a defense lawyer. He came in all the time. He was dressed up to the nines. I go, man, I asked him one day, I was like, what do you do? He goes, I used to drink really heavy. And he goes, when it became legal, I started smoking. But he goes, I'm a defense lawyer here in Binghamton. It shocked me. But there's doctors and, grandparents and parents and, people who have different ailments who use the plant for many different reasons. And, just to simply help out people who want to come off, prescription drugs or alcohol or opiates or whatever it may be. It's really a freeing feeling when you can help out someone at the end of the day and show them, that this plant can heal you in multiple different ways. So, I think that's a really great thing.
That is awesome. Now, you had mentioned the business model of the dispensary that you're working at now, right? What was the name of it again?
So the first dispensary I started at was Sacred Bloom. So I worked there
Sacred
from
Blue.
2023, October 2023 till 2024. I was a sales rep for the last about year. I worked under Green Revolution, their edible brand out of Washington State. They're processed by HPI. So I worked as a brand ambassador and a sales rep. So I covered roughly 60% of the state. So all 1786 from Fishkill to Findlay Lake, Western New York,
What?
Central, a couple places out in Utica and stuff like that. And now I work for Flynnstoned in Binghamton. So it's my journey has been quite interesting over the last couple of years.
I love that. So now you mentioned that a business model that was good for customers. What is that business model? What does it look like that
Being able to
works?
connect with being able to connect with your customers. That's the biggest thing. Like I just had a conversation with my GM last night about this when we're out, having dinner and stuff like that. He goes, the reason why our model works, I agreed with him and I kind of piggybacked off a lot with what he was saying. Was that, like certain dispensaries you go to, sometimes you don't have a very lively crowd of bud tenders or they just point you to the kiosk. For us, we go up and help people. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of older ladies or older gentlemen come in and they're getting off prescription opiates or Percocets or whatever it may be. I had a lady come in yesterday and her husband came in a few weeks ago. He goes, I'm trying to find something for my wife. She hasn't used cannabis before. I'm going to bring her in. If you're in here next time, I want to talk to you. Go, okay, sure. So he showed up yesterday about noon, 1 o'clock with his wife. And his wife was telling us like how she has bad back pain. She has like some sort of liver failure and a couple other like, ailments and stuff like that. And she's like, I really don't want to use gummies. A couple other, she goes, I don't like to smoke either. I said, well, you know, let's start off something light. Gummies are one of the main ways that people, generally consume, especially if they don't smoke or if they don't want to use tinctures or, stuff like that. And I end up giving her the wild 1 to 20. So the 20 milligrams of CBD, 1 milligram of THC. And she started crying and stuff like that. She goes, I'm sorry. Like I apologize. I said, don't apologize. She goes, I feel like, when I told you guys this, I thought you're all going to laugh at me. We go, no, like gonna laugh at you at all. Like we're here to help. Like obviously we're not medical professionals, but a lot of us deal with a lot of health issues that can, that could
Right.
maybe we can sort out something with you. So we sat there and we talked to her for a little bit, and we sold her the wild 1 to 20. And she goes, thank you a whole lot. She goes, I really appreciate you and taking the time to talk to me and stuff like that. And then she looked at me, she goes, can I give you a hug? I said, yeah,
Aw.
absolutely. So I gave, went over and gave her a giant hug. She goes, thank you, so much for, helping me during this time. And I feel like that's what a lot of people miss out on is the idea of, sometimes it's almost like being a bartender in a way. It's like you get these people who come in and talk to you, and sometimes it's better just to, talk to them for 30, 35 minutes. And, sometimes people don't have a whole lot of people to talk to already in the first place, older people or even some of the younger generation, especially with the internet and people feeling kind of disconnected that way. Sometimes you really learn about a lot of people, and sometimes you do make connections that last a long time.
Oh my God, that is so, so true. That's an amazing story. Dude, you got me in the feels right now. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I that makes my heart big. I feel like I got the Grinch heart at the end. It's like 5 times bigger now.
Yeah, I'm not always a very daily positive person, but when I go into work, I get to talk to people and I get to see some of my favorite, regulars, or I get to meet new people, or I get to see some of the brand ambassadors or sales reps who come in. It just makes the day better because sometimes they're having a bad day, someone who's traveling from Buffalo, they hit snow or their tire popped or something in between. It's like, let's make your day better. Or like people who come in having a bad day after work, or some of the third shifters who come in right after work. So it's really a positive thing. And I just kind of generally have a big heart. So I just connect with people really well on that, on a lot of
Oh
different.
man, that is amazing. And you know what's funny? You're gonna laugh at this. Something happened to me on the train today, Megan, that made me think of you.
What? Something happened on the train? That's so crazy.
No, not at all, not on the train.
Not on the New York City subway.
No, it's always running perfectly.
Well, it did. It was running perfectly, but someone came on the train, and I looked to my right, and they were in the end of the car, and they, got a seat. Dude next to them immediately booked it to the other end. I'm like, what's going on? It doesn't look like
Oh.
they smell. Like, what's the deal? So, what do? They take out a what looks like a paper bag. It looked like it was rolled in a paper bag, and begin to puff away. And I don't know what it was. It could have been leaves from Central Park. I don't know. It didn't smell good at all. But it reminded me of something that Megan told me once before.
Uh-oh.
It's better it's better to let the person do what they're doing than, interrupt them, make the faces, make a big stink because they could be having a bad day and you just leave them be, right?
Sometimes
Personally,
we just have to give people space and,
personally,
you know,
personally, I live by the idea of just let people live and let them be, as long as they're not hurting other people.
yes. Once
Let them.
violence happens, then we have to step in. But if you're not being violent, then okay.
Well, I mean, it was kind of violent to my nose because I was like, I know this is not Nancy Coke, this is not Rolling Green, this isn't anything, this isn't even a spray pack. I want to know what it was, but I'm like, just let it go,
Yeah.
let it go. So
Well,
we are covering some really great things. Waylan, Yanni, I am digging this. I'm so happy that we have been able to connect. What I want to know is this. I want to know. I'm curious because you said you've been talking about your journey with the plant and how early you started and all of that, and now you're with Flynnstoned. How did your grandparents react to knowing about your career?
oh man, it's really interesting. So, um, I worked in the gray market for a little while, like when the sticker shops and stuff happened, and all that. And my mom was talking to my grandma about it one day, and I said, "Why, why'd you talk to grandma about it?" And she goes, "Well, she was trying to understand what you were doing." And I joined Sacred Bloom. After that, little stint happened, and then I became a sales rep. When I was making the change, I was talking to my grandmother about it. And she goes, "What do you do?" Exactly. I said, "Well, Grandma, I go around to the state and, I do pop-ups as a brand ambassador, but in a way, I'm also a sales rep and I, try to sell product to some of these dispensaries and try to educate people." And she goes, "That's great." She goes, "And they live in PA. So we're in PA where it's not exactly legal." And you go, "Well, it should be legal here." She goes, I don't understand why it's not. And that kind of opened my grandmother, who at that time was 78 years old. I was flabbergasted. I was like, this is a very progressive tone coming from someone of that generation and stuff like that. But my grandma has always been a very accepting human being my entire life, very forgiving and stuff like that. So she's a big motivator in my life.
Oh,
Always gave me some sort of motivation or some sort of like quote or some sort of like life lesson. And it's always, I look up to her a lot, my grandfather too. So, they personally have had no relationship with the plant, but they
uh-huh.
understand the relationship with the plant. So, that's what makes it a lot better.
Oh, dude, that is amazing. Having that support and being able to be in this industry and have that relationship with the plant, it's got to feel amazing.
No, it really is. And I come from a long line of people who were part of like the legacy market. Like my uncle left the Navy in the 60s and grew in Humboldt and Mendocino counties in the 70s. And then here in the 80s,
Oh.
grew greenweed. And people didn't know what greenweed was in the Northeast for a really long time because it was just brick. And
Right?
when they grew it, they were like, "What is this?" They couldn't believe that like something like that existed at that time. So I come from a very long line of growers and legacy people. So it extends beyond myself to my dad who grew up through the 70s in Alaska, where it's quasi legal. My uncle who grew in California back in the like late 70s and stuff like that out here in the Northeast in the 80s. So it's a very I come from a long line of people who use the plant and have had some sort of relationship with it. So
That is freeing amazing. And I love that you said the word legacy because that is a big deal here in New York. And I want to know with everything that's been happening with cannabis, how does the legacy market feel about what's going on in New York and even nationwide with like rescheduling and things like that?
well, I mean, personally, I don't think the rescheduling to Schedule 3 is a good thing at all. It just opens up the doors to pharmaceutical companies to jump on the wagon first for all their billionaire friends, Purdue Pharma, whoever it may be, Vero, Curaleaf. They're all going to jump on that and have the heads or have the ground up on top of it.
Right.
Um, the legacy market it kind of stunned it a little bit, especially like a lot of these guys who spent time in prison or, guys who are very underground like myself, who luckily never got in trouble, but, moved a lot of weight or, grew a lot for a long time, made concentrates, and gave back to their communities of people, not just through cannabis, but through, positive reinforcement and, advocation, stuff like that too. But the New York market, I mean, the New York market is so skewed still. I mean, after 3 years, it's still trying to get up on its feet and walk a little bit. And it's kind of a scary thing a little bit, especially with metric happening and the seed to sale, happening and everything like that too.
Wait a minute.
So
It's been 3 years?
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, whoa, that's only three.
2023 was the first dispensary that opened. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's been 3 years now. Yeah.
Dang. Now, I want to know what is your hope in the coming year for cannabis in New York State? Because you got Massachusetts, you got New Jersey doing lounges and all these other things. What is your hope for New York?
My hope is that the price inflation of cannabis comes to a realistic standpoint. You know what I mean? I don't agree with the immediate drop. You know what I mean? Like we've seen in others like legal states, Colorado, Michigan specifically, where the market just kind of collapsed on itself because the prices dropped so low, prices per pound dropped below $1,000 and stuff like that. But personally, for me, I really hope the New York market really more or so focuses on the little guy. So micro businesses, micro retailers, small cultivators, or hash makers. No matter what it is, I really hope we kind of steer more away from the idea of big MSOs. Like they're always going to be there. Curaleaf is always going to be there. Vero is going to be there. Trulieve is going to be there. PharmaCann's always going to be there. But at the end of the day, I find that more people would rather buy local. They'd rather buy Nanocoke. They'd rather buy Forest Farms, Rolling Green, Sky World. No matter what there's so many great companies out there who've waited for this moment in time, but not only companies, but individuals who did this for such a long time in the black market, as they like to
Right,
say.
right.
I really hope we see more and more product, come out, but I really hope we start seeing prices kind of even out a little bit too in between that. So, I think you should still pay a premium for, cannabis because you're paying for employees, overhead expenses, electricity, everything in between. I feel like that's a lost part of talking about cannabis right now is that a lot of people come in, they go, well, why are your prices so high? And it's like, well, this is legitimate business. This is, not your dude anymore. I can't sell you $20 eights. There are some $20 eights in the market, but they're not everywhere though. So
Right.
I feel like the most important thing coming about into the next year is more educating. So on top of, controlling the market a little bit more. So
Now, are we looking to educate? Are we looking to educate staff or are we looking to educate customers?
both. Both. That I think that is so widely important, and you just hit the nail on the head right there. Um, I'm not saying that I've met a lot of great bud tenders over the last year from Rochester and Buffalo, Jamestown, and even here in Binghamton and Ithaca and Utica and Fishkill, even out in the Hudson Valley. I've met a lot of very knowledgeable bud tenders, but I feel like there's some places where I've gone to, especially when as a sales rep, where they just go, "Yeah, it's good," and they just want to make a quick buck. And I don't really agree with that at all. I feel like, we have to learn about terpenes, flavonoids, usage with the plant, responsibility of using and not over consuming. And then with customers, the idea of that you should be buying into the legal market. So I actually had a situation this past week with an older couple, wife and husband came in. He's kind of browsing. She comes over and she goes, "Hey, I'm looking for salves and balms." I go,
Okay.
"Cool." I said, "We have Heirloom." I said, "Heirloom is like one of the few brands that I've seen over 3 years have a set." There we go, the cran apple specifically.
Yeah, there it is.
um, but they came over. She came over and she goes, "I'm looking for a salve or a balm that I can use. I have lower back pain, but I don't want to smoke, use gummies and stuff like that." Cool, sure. The heirloom balms or topicals, they're like $62 after tax in our store. Um, the husband comes over. He goes, "Well, I'm not paying that." I go, "Okay." I said, "Well, the reason," he goes, "Why is it so expensive?" I go, "The reason why it's so expensive is because it takes a lot of time, money, and effort to get these out into the public or out even onto the shelves. Plant, you have to grow a plant and then wait for it to mature after 6 months, take it and break it down and, do everything you need to
Right.
do." Um, he goes, "Well, the other place has a lot cheaper, but he couldn't tell us the milligrammages." I go, "What do you mean by that?" He goes, "Well, we went to I'm not going to say the name, but he goes, we went to an illegal sticker shop." I go, "Well, there's your problem." As like you went to an illegal sticker shop where they have no knowledge of what's in it, what, the milligrammage of THC, CBD, or any other, cannabinoids that might be in it. Um, and then
Dude,
yeah, it really caught me off guard. And I said, like in the middle of this conversation, I was like, they're the only brand that I've seen in the last year that
right,
has any.
Waylan?
What's that?
I said right, Waylan. I wanted to say right, but we have less than a minute. And I know, Waylan, we got to continue this. Can we continue this?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Waylan Yanny, you are at Flynnstoned, right?
Flintstone, Binghamton. Come see me over 1143 Upper Front Street in Binghamton.
Do it.
Woo! Episode 24, Big Sale Session. We love you all. We're going to see you again. We're out.
Bye.
Bye.